Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar titled Understanding Your Waterproofing Options and How to Best Choose Your Own Adventure. I'm Jim Olson with the National Tile Contractors Association. I want to welcome you and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend today's webinar sponsored by LATICRETE International. Before I introduce today's speaker, I want to remind you that during the webinar, you'll be muted. Please use the questions area on your computer to type in your questions, and we'll answer them at the end of this presentation. If the audio on your computer is poor, call the number on the invite to this webinar and listen on your phone, or please turn up the volume on your computer. That will help also. All NTCA webinars are available to watch at any time on the NTCA YouTube channel shortly after the webinars are presented, giving you easy access to watch and or share all current and past programs at your convenience. All right, I'm happy to announce today's speaker. Dustin Prevete is a product development professional who has successfully launched and supported a vast number of products and platforms on a global scale across several different industries. He has shown a strong ability to familiarize himself with the current market landscape and to that of his customer and user base to help develop and commercialize thought-based innovative solutions. Dustin holds a BA in Business Administration and an MBA in Marketing from the Iona University Hagen School of Business. His career spans over 16 years and has offered him the opportunity to lead product development efforts for several highly recognizable brands with the construction industry. In his current role as Senior Product Manager at LATICRETE International, he is tasked with overseeing an expansive portfolio of products spanning the membranes, shower system, and floor heat categories. Dustin, welcome. Looking forward to a great program.
Hey, Jim, thank you very much for that introduction. Before I get started, I just want to get confirmation that you can hear me.
Right now, we're good to go. So if anything comes up, I'll let you and the audience know. All right?
Very good, Jim. Appreciate it. So first, I just want to say thank you on behalf of both myself and the rest of the LATICRETE family for taking time out of your day. I know that if you are like we are here, a lot of us are very busy. So it is a privilege to get your ear for an hour and kind of walk you through some of the things that we're seeing on a daily basis to help us help you do your jobs better, more effectively, more efficiently, and just more enjoyably, right? If you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. So the easier we can make it and the more love and joy we can bring to that for you is a benefit for all of us. So as Jim noted, my name is Dustin Prevete, Senior Product Manager here at LATICRETE for membranes, which encompasses waterproofing, which is what we're going to talk about today, anti-fracture, uncoupling, sound control, and then I also handle our shower system and our floor heat categories. So the title, Understanding Your Waterproofing Options, because as we know, there's a lot of them, and how do you best choose your own adventure, because that's the way we look at it, right? There's a number of different ways to do this, whether it's job-based, whether it's preference-based, whether it's spec-based. So we're going to talk through some of that in a little more detail, and you'll have the opportunity to submit questions in the chat that I'll either both answer after the presentation's over or get back to you in a more intimate fashion a little bit later on. So when we talk about the overview of this presentation, the goal is going to be to hit on all the options that your installers have or you as distributors have to sell, regardless of where you fall in the continuum, regarding pitching and waterproofing and applicable installation. Most commonly when we discuss these, we're talking about showers, obviously other things like wet areas or kitchen backsplashes and whatnot. Some of the other topics that we'll cover are the applicable codes and standards that you're going to want to familiarize yourself with. And then we'll take some time at the end to walk through some adjacent industry trends from both an install and a design standpoint. So there's different methodology about installing, and then there's different design trends that we're seeing from a cosmetic standpoint that we want everybody to be aware of, because that's essentially what's driving end user asks in a lot of these cases. So the objectives, we're going to review the industry standards and their impact on shower systems and wet areas, new methodology specific to waterproofing, new trends specific to a waterproof system, and like I said, new trends specific to design, cosmetics, and functionality. As just the basic overview, I'm sure you guys are familiar with where you can find or get access to the applicable standards within the tile installation platforms. So we have the TCNA handbook, which was updated as of this year. I have the link in the presentation, and also the most update ANSI standards book as well, with the link provided. So some of the main codes that we kind of encounter on a daily basis. The most recently updated in 2018, the International Building Code, the 2021 International Plumbing Code, ADA, which always plays a factor in sloped showers or in a lot of cases of installation, the ICC, the current ICC standard, and then some basic ANSI standards or ASTM standards that I might touch on, as well as IATMOS certification. So when you hear ASTM E96, that's permeability. So when you're dealing with ratings for steam showers or steam rooms, we have ANSI A11810, which is load-bearing bonded waterproofing membrane installations, 1812, which specifically ties back to crack isolation membrane standards. We have our ASME 11218, so drain and pipe fitting standard, and then IATMOS certification, which most notably for this type of installation is PS 106 for prefabricated tieable shower receptors, so basically waterproof showers. So if you think back in 2020 when COVID kind of hit, a lot of things changed with regard to training and consumption of information and education. So brief overview with regard to preferences in training. People tend to gravitate towards what they're comfortable with, given to their level of experience or how they were trained. There is some differentiation between those preferences when splitting up residential and commercial applications. There is an organic shift underway within the industry to move towards more ergonomic, less labor-intensive product. I think there is a big focus around productivity, how you can get the most out of less and do more with your time, because the quicker you move on from one, the quicker you're able to undertake another. More of that old adage, time is money. And then post-COVID, when it comes to training, that's where I kind of alluded to in the beginning, habits and methods have shifted. In the beginning, online learning wasn't as big as it used to be. It wasn't as big a player in as it is now after COVID. I mean, Jim and I were talking about beforehand that, the attendance rates on these types of webinars has gone up exponentially since COVID hit, and a lot of that has carried over. So virtual learning has become more widely accepted and is more of the norm now, as opposed to just in-person demos, in-person seminars, trade shows, and things of that nature. So there's a level of acceptance to this type of avenue of material consumption or information consumption that wasn't available up until about 3 years ago. So quick snapshot, when you're looking at selection of installation methods or materials used, it's segmented between residential and commercial. It's kind of focused on the knowledge of the base around said installer or distributor at the time of training. It really plays a role of where they're at in their career cycle or who they're around in their career cycle for that level of training. There is a focus around what I can do, like I talked about productivity, what's going to take the least amount of time for the least amount of cost. So when you dollarize a project, what is going to get me the best return on my time investment and obviously my monetary investment, whether bidding out a job or if I am the end user or understanding what that job's going to cost. From a learning standpoint, you're either going to learn on the job in live demos or, like we talked about, e-learning. I think we're at the point now where it's more evenly distributed between live demos and e-learning. On the job is always going to be king. There's nothing like real world experience. You guys know that, we know that. But from an extra learning standpoint, live demos and e-learning have kind of evened their way out, and that's kind of the COVID effect that I talked about a little bit earlier. So let's dig right in. So this is understanding choosing your own adventure with regard to waterproofing. There's a lot of different methods out there. There's a lot of different solutions out there. So let's get right into it. Let's talk through some of them. So waterproofing as a whole. Our research has shown that there will likely be a 50-50 split now between traditional mud bed installations and pre-waterproof jobs. So that's specific to showers. That trend started a few years back, and it's going to continue to skew towards the pre-waterproofed options for a variety of reasons, right? They are more favored within residential, but they are shifting their way over to commercial. The most common reason for the shift is time, consistency, ergonomics, safety, repeatability, right? There's a number of different options available to choose from that tie into this, most notably lightweight wallboard, sheet membrane, and pre-coated, pre-sloped waterproof shower pans. These options, it's critical for these options to be compliant with industry standards. Those are the ones that we talked about previously. And the fact that they're controlled and manufactured in a machine environment allow for less of a knowledge transfer. So it's easier to get right in with using them, whether you're on the low end of the experience continuum or at the more advanced level of the experience continuum. So in a nutshell, we break them down to the following. We have liquid applied. So when I say liquid applied, I'm talking about a latex-based waterproofing membrane over a traditional mortar bed or a mud bed. We have pre-coated and pre-sloped shower pans, plus the applicable accessories, such as the preformed niches, benches, seats, curbs, and ramps. In a lot of instances, the different manufacturers, such as ourselves, offer both stock sizes that are readily available and also have custom-based options, because as we know, every job site is not always as pretty as it's drawn up in the blueprints. You get on thinking you're going to need a 48 by 48. Come to find out, you're going to need a 46 by 70 pan or 46 by 47 pan that's slightly off center. So, you never know what the job site's going to throw at you. And a lot of the different manufacturers within the industry have options for either site modifiable pans or custom pans. And we'll dig a little bit into that in the out slides. Lightweight wallboard, in a lot of instances, it is a lot more friendly on the joints and longevity of a career to work with some of these lighter weight products as opposed to some of their predecessors, which are a little more labor intensive, require a little more elbow grease for transport on site and just, basic functionality and movability. And then sheet membrane plus the applicable accessories like the seam tape, the inside outside corners, the pipe seals, the nail salability squares, things of that nature. So now we're going to dive into each one of these in a little more detail, and we'll start with the liquid applied over the mortar bed. What is it? It's a latex-based waterproofing membrane that provides protection for floors and walls for applications ranging from occasional wet to continuous wet and submersible areas, such as pools and showers. It's basically a liquid applied rubber. It is probably the most tried and true and one of the older methods with regard to waterproofing. I know here at LATICRETE, it's been around since 1974, and us like other manufacturers have continued to iterate over time with this, specifically looking to shrink down cure times and give you guys, a little bit of an easier path towards start to finish. So when you dig into it in a little more detail, and we'll do this for every one of the different segments, and we look at pros and cons for liquid applied. It's easy to install. It's as simple as, anybody can do it. It's almost it's literally applying a level of paint, if you will, to the most basic installer. Minimal training or experience is required. Like I said, it's ready to use right out of the pail, meaning there's no prep work. There's multiple different options and at varying price points and performance levels. You can find ones that cure in as little as 2 hours. You can find one that cure in as much as 12 hours. You can find ones that have a level of crack isolation protection and ones that don't. There's always something available throughout this segment of the market to fit a price point or a performance level or tie to a warranty that you guys are looking for. So you have options when you're bidding out jobs or you're going into your distributor of choice and you have a certain price in mind to get that job based on a bid that was submitted. Some of these have color changing technology. So that ties back to the ease of the installation. It basically does the job for you and lets you know when that second coat needs to be applied. And we'll get into the 2-coat in a minute. It's applied in a few different ways, most commonly brush, roller, and high velocity sprayers. Can provide anti-fracture protection depending on the level of performance you select. Flood times, like I said, can be as little as 2 hours after the second coat is applied. And it has the ability to be both used interior and exterior, except over occupied spaces for the most part. Now, when we get to the cons, the 2-coat can be considered a con because it is time, right? Time is money. You have to wait at least 2 hours for it to cure, depending on the environmental nature or the environmental conditions at the time of the application. What really that is for is to eliminate and alleviate the appearance of the pinholes as the air breathes through the substrate. Pinholes can form. That second coat kind of cures that up, but that is a problem in terms of not maximizing the time of the installation. Minimum cure times, like I talked about, between coats, and as you wait for the flood test, as you wait 2 flood tests as required in certain municipalities and basic compliance standards. Pails can be heavy, especially when you're carrying it up at a commercial job. If you have to bring it up a flight of stairs, if the freight elevator is out, or you have to move it from point A to point B, depending on where said elevator is, they can be relatively heavy, roughly 40 to 50 pounds, depending on whether it's a 5-gallon pail, little as 12 or 15 if it's a 1-gallon pail. And you're beholden to the level of the mortar bed, specifically if you're using the mortar bed. Those have a relatively longer cure time where you have to have proper ventilation or access to a fan or some level to help them cure a little bit quicker. But at the end of the day, they are very easy to use and apply with minimal training. So I think that would be in a nutshell, if I was going to surmise what a liquid applied mortar bed would mean for somebody who's willing to select it. It is relatively easy to use, and you can apply it with minimal training. Next, we'll move over to our pre-slow, pre-waterproofed fans. So what are they? They are pre-formed shower products that come in all shapes and sizes. There are point drain options. There are linear drain options. There are corresponding accessories that come with them, like the niches, the seats, the benches, the accessories, could be shelves. By and large, they're made from high-density polystyrene, whether it be an XPS or an EPS. So XPS is extruded, it's pulled through a mold. EPS is molded through just that, a mold. It's kind of stamped out and pressed in, and it's ready to tile with a factory-applied waterproofing membrane. Typically, you'll either find these with the liquid already sprayed on and cured, or the sheet already adhered and cured. Depending on the version or the brand you select, it may also be pre-cut to fit a specific drain, or the drain is already included in the pan as part of the finished assembly. So, these are made in machine environments. There's a level of consistency that comes with them. I know there is an art to laying mud, depending on the level of expertise of said installers on a given job or where they're at in their career. It might make more sense from either a time-saving standpoint and a longevity standpoint to take a look at some of these options, because they do provide some of the same level of the same basic level of functionality that you would find with a traditional mud bed. So some of the pros and cons that come along with the pre-sloped and pre-waterproof pans, they're pre-pitched. A lot of these are already ADA compliant, the 1/4 inch per linear foot regulation that comes along with ADA. Like I said, they're pre-waterproofed and ready to tile. There is no mortar bed, so you're not beholden to the curing time of the mortar. They're lightweight. They are site sizable. We did talk about custom sizing, and I have that 2 bullets below. But if you did buy a stock size pan, like a 48 by 48, and you knew you needed to shave off some of that to fit in a given tight area, you have the ability to do so. They most notably, they do come with a full suite of corresponding accessories. In some cases, manufacturers offer a custom program. And like I said, they're integrated for the drain ports, depending on whether it's a point or a linear drain. Some of the cons, they can be considered fragile during transport. There is a relatively small margin for error when sizing these on site. Now, not to say you can't Frankenstein one back together if you miscut or make a wrong cut, or have a ding and whatnot. There is ways to get them back into service. But in some instances, there could be a small margin for error when modifying on site. And there is a mental hurdle, right? Mud has been around for a very long time. A lot of our installers are, artists in their own way. And when evaluating one of these solutions, it could be considered a mental hurdle for them to switch over from mud. But in a nutshell, I would look at these as a consistent, as a product that offers consistent results in a streamlined offering, meaning that you can do a lot of productivity comes along with one of these in terms of time saving. And as we alluded to earlier, that old adage, time is money. So as another option for pre-slow pans, we have ones that don't come with the waterproofing on top of it. Now this allows the installer to then choose their method or their solution of choice. So whether that's a liquid or a sheet, they have the ability to put these on after the fact, so they can use whatever they're comfortable with while still eliminating the mud bed portion of the application. So when I look at the pros and the cons of these, again, ADA compliant, you get to choose your own waterproofing membrane if that's something you're more comfortable with. And again, a lot of the same functionality that we talked about for the ones that were pre-waterproofed. Again, it could be looked at as a con. It does require additional waterproofing, but they usually come at a reduced price, meaning that if you had the waterproofing already on site or you had leftover from another job, you had the ability to then use that and then recoup the savings with the pan itself. So it's a great option for quick turnaround time. And there's a number of great custom manufacturers that are able to get these out to installers in 2 to 3 to 4 day turnaround times, depending on your geographic location in the US or in Canada as well. So now we're going to move away from the floor. We're going to go towards the wall now. The next is lightweight wallboards, and this is a segment of the market that has truly exploded. Not to say that cement backer board or and things of that nature don't have a place in the market. They always will. They always, based on the price point, nature of them, the familiarity of the installers with them, they're always going to have a place. But one of the main trends that tie to productivity is ergonomics and longevity, right? It's keeping those installers healthy for a longer period of time and then post-career. And lightweight wallboard has been one that people have gravitated towards in spades, right? They come in a variety of different sizes, thicknesses, and compositions, and their respective cores all share the same premise. They're relatively lightweight. They're meant for easy transport. They're meant for site modification. They provide a preformed lightweight option that can be used in a variety of different installations. Depending on the board, they are most likely steam room and steam shower compatible. Ties back to that ASTM E84 rating that we talked about earlier. And again, growing in popularity due to the relative ease in which they're transported, modified, and installed. Like I said, they come in a variety of ranges, sizes, meaning dimensions, most notably 3x5 and 4x8. And then thicknesses anywhere from a 1/4 inch, which can be used as a thermal break when using a heat system, but we can get into that at a different webinar at a different time, all the way up to a 2-inch thick that can be used on a kitchen used as a kitchen countertop, under a kitchen countertop, or for a variety of other options as well. In addition, you have the ability to potentially make your own accessories. I've seen guys get real creative with these on job sites, right? Making their own curbs, making their own overlays, making their own niches, benches, seats, curbs. It does allow for a lot of artistic freedom when using them for things other than but adjacent to a shower installation. So some of the pros, they come fully waterproofed. They are steam shower and steam room rated, rigid and durable. In a lot of cases, they can take a beating. They can take the tile load. They're tested to that. There will be an industry standard. We believe there will be an industry standard pretty soon regarding wallboard specifically, just based on the nature of how well they've exploded. Lightweight and easy to transport. They work with a lot of manufacturers' corresponding accessories, whether it be the seam tapes, whether it be the alkaline resistant mesh tape, the inside, the outside corners, the sealants, the different hybrid sealants. They are site sizable. Like I said, they can be made in other components. They feature the ability to have multiple banding options when treating seams, corners, goes, and transitions. So like I talked about, you can use the seam tape method with the thin set. You can use the thin set and alkaline resistant mesh tape method You can use an adhesive and sealant method. So there's a lot of different adventures you can choose with regard to installing these boards as well. And like I said, there's multiple thicknesses and size options. Now, iron fragile during transport, that's mainly during transport in bulk. They can get damaged relatively easy by forklifts. So there is a level of scrap rate that we do recognize with these. There is a margin for error. Now, I'm not going to say it's as great as some of the shower pans because these are a little more durable and rigid. But there is a margin for error for site modification. Additional treatment for seams and penetrations is needed. You know, it's not a continuous fluid installation like the liquid provides. But again, it is a time saving in the way you address the wall installations. Limited floor applications, they're not necessarily submersible. They're traditionally for walls only. Predominantly used for interiors and limited industry standards. Now, I think that is, going to change in the near future as there's more of a focus on these. But right now, there's limited industry standards tied to them. In a nutshell, high level elevator explanation. They're lightweight. They're a lightweight ergonomic option with an ease of use, with a focus on ease of use. So from wallboard, we'll transition over to what I'd like to think is its predecessor, and that's sheet membrane. So sheet membranes are designed for installation on the tiles. For the most part, they're thin in nature. They're a multi-level plastic roller mat that act as a primary waterproofing solution. They're commonly used in tiled showers, tub surrounds, and other wet areas. They can act as a vapor retarder depending on the features and benefits of a given offering, meaning they can be used in steam showers and steam rooms. They can be used with mud, and they're commonly on the floor, and they're commonly used with cement backer board for walls, and used in accordance with both modified or unmodified thin sets. They're usually part of a greater installation system and come with complementary products, like what we talked about earlier with the inside-outside corners, the seam tape, the mixing valve seals, the pipe collars, the adhesive and sealants, and things of that nature. So they're usually in with a full system, which usually ties back to a manufacturer's warranty, which can then give peace of mind to the installer. Some of the pros and cons: they come pre-waterproofed. They can be steam shower and steam room rated. When compared to liquid, they're relatively easy to transport on a per square foot basis. Maybe not as easy as the lightweight wallboard, but easier to transport and carry than liquid. They come with a full corresponding suite of accessories. They are site sizable in terms of just cutting it with a basic, scoring it with a utility knife, scissor or shears, number of different options to cut it. They come in multiple lengths and multiple different widths. Cons: they don't really offer, or it's not defined for crack isolation. There are ways that you can prove out that they do provide protection. There is no design standard around testing sheet membrane specifically. Maneuverability is limited. So if you're doing a small residential or a small room installation within a commercial space, the rolls can be relatively hard to maneuver. Depending on the space of the room, you might have to go outside to cut it out and then lay it out. So that can be cumbersome at times. There's a moderate learning curve, meaning that you do have to apply the thin set to it. You do have to know how to cut it, apply and treat seams, corners, clumps, and transitions. There can be buildup at those points. If you think about you're doing where walls butt up, plus there is a corner on the floor, you could have 3 different layers where you have thin set adhering to one, to the other. So there could be some level of buildup depending on the learning curve of the installer, which could make it a little bit dicey when you're putting on the final tiles. Again, training and experience kind of prove that out in the long run, but at the beginning, it could be a sticking point. Additional treatment is needed for transitions. At the time, the tile is tied to the adhesive used, right? So depending on the thin set that you use to adhere it to the backer board or the mud floor, you'll be holding to that time. Whereas with wallboard, you can just simply adhere it to the joists, whether most notably by screws and whatnot. But in a nutshell, they are machine controlled and they're a consistent waterproofing option. It's more like where liquid applied was like applying paint. This would be like applying wallpaper. So Again, depending on what your level of acceptance is and what your appetite is for the installation, that might drive you to one or the other. A lot of different manufacturers, you heard me talk about full suite of products, full system compatibility, warranty tie-ins. A lot of manufacturers have that full system, right? Depending on them, their options can range anywhere from the adhesive all the way out to the grout, So when you're thinking about a shower installation, or all the way out to a drain, right? So it's from what's under the floor that you don't see all the way out to what's cosmetic that you do, in addition to the tile, like the grout or the drains, things of that nature. Some of the benefits when going with a full system, there's limited excess material, right? These are kind of boxed up and pre-canned in a way to limit the amount of excess, so which helps you guys out from a return on the investment, from a storage, from a transport. There's a lot of different benefits that go along with that, so they can be a nice option in that regard. There's component continuity. They're designed to work in accordance with each other. They are supported by a single warranty. There is a dedicated customer support system or infrastructure in place, depending on the manufacturer, for all of these different things. And they are pre-tested, verified, and certified for compatibility with industry standards. So I'm going to pivot a little bit. We're going to talk about some of the given challenges within an installation. We talked about the different methods we have. Now we'll talk about some of the challenges that you guys might encounter, or your installers might encounter on a given site, and some of the things that we spoke about kind of cure for these ills. Right? If you think about some, as we go through it, think about some of the different methods that we talked about and how they can best address some of the challenges that I'm outlining. Right? Within a, if you're doing a remodel or you're doing a new construction, there could be challenging obstacles depending on what the architect's laid out, or depending on what the environmental challenges of the given structure provide. There could be challenging obstacles. You always have to maintain, at least for a shower, that 1/4 inch per linear foot pitch to be ADA compliant. Smaller showers can have a lot of issues with regard to slope, right? You can get into a given size where slope becomes a problem, where you have to raise the room or even recess the subfloor. And that's not just for a barrier free, that's just for the basic installation. So that's where some of the preformed pans can come into play, because they've already done the work for you, essentially. To talk about ADA, can be no more than a 1/2 inch rise. You have to maintain that 1/4 inch per linear foot to the drain. Typically, based on that, we're looking at the minimum of a 36 by 36, usually front entry. Differs for side entry, though. A good example would be 32 by 60. There are restrictions tied to wheelchair access. And the smallest preformed showers and pans usually offer a slightly larger size to account for it. So flood testing, there is no formal industry standard, but it's something that is required by code in a lot of municipalities. We have one that we've worked up, that we've developed, that can be used as a baseline. If you look at the link on the screen, you guys will have access to it. Then you have to check each of the different solutions data sheets, right? Each of the product data sheets for any of the products, whether it be a LATICRETE product or any other manufacturers out there. There's specific directions tied to the time you have to take, the methods you have to take, and the steps you have to take to get yourself ready for a said flood test. So now we're going to focus on some design trends that tie back and work in accordance with a lot of the installation methods that we talked about. As of right now, when it comes to drains, we are seeing a number of different finish options that stretch from both vintage and then more contemporary or more modern. In a lot of cases, people are gearing over and sliding over towards minimalistic approaches. When you think of some of the things we deal with electronics, pick your favorite smartphone. Right, it's a basic blank screen, has a nice profile, or a Nest thermostat. Again, very basic in nature, very minimalist, but very forward-looking and future-thinking. A lot of them provide multi-use. So when you think about what a given trend would be here, would be to be able to use it for more than one thing. You get more bang for your buck. You're more happy with your investment. In terms of showers, you're looking at steam rooms and steam showers at the same time as being a regular shower. Full and open concepts we're seeing a lot more of, decorative tie-ins in terms of finishes, whether it be profiles, drains, fixturing, whatnot, and then customization. Everybody likes to put their own little spin on a given room so they can say they had a hand in the design and how it kind of turned out, so they can show it off to both their colleagues or their friends when they come over to see their house. So uniformity across finishes is becoming big. Fixturing, accents, drains, and grates. Some of the more popular finishes we're seeing: white and black matte, chrome and nickel, gold and brass, and some level polished, and then brushed options to mask fingerprints. For drains, we're seeing a push towards tile-in, so more of the invisible. And there's also versions available through specific manufacturers where you can get ones that are actually wall integrated and near invisible, right? It gives an extra cosmetic appeal. It's easier to clean and can be used and integrated very well into larger stone and tiles. Open showers have become more prevalent, more popular. Basically, it's a fully sloped room where the room acts as a catch-all for everything. You can, have a steam shower and take a regular shower. You can brush your teeth or you can take a bath, all within the same room, all usually steam shower rated. A lot of different functionality with regard to these open concepts within showers and bathrooms. Steam rooms, I think this really kind of kickstarted itself, and you guys would know better than me, but during COVID, at least from what I've seen, people had more of a, was able to see the pitfalls or things that they wanted to update in their home, tied with the health benefits of the steam shower or sauna. It really exacerbated the trend and the push towards more people, when doing renovations, asking for these types of solutions in their homes. And they tie back specifically to the E96 standard with regard to permeability. So when you're talking about a steam shower, the most notable standards we're going to talk about are the ANSI 1810 for waterproofing, the E96 for permeability, the SR 613 and SR 617, which are basic installation methods. And you should always check with the manufacturer on their given data sheets for these materials to make sure that they are rated at less than 0.5 perms and that are steam shower and steam room compatible. When it comes to tile, we are seeing thinner mosaics gaining popularity. Matte finishes also gaining popularity, neutral colors, subway, and then the exact opposite of what I just said, larger tiles. So you're either like, we're seeing a push towards the very small, being those penny rounds and those mosaics, and then the larger format tiles, the 48s and greater, replacing some stone in a lot of cases. Marble and terrazzo also finding their way in, that more industrial look that concrete can provide, that more of a vintage effect. Marble's transitioning from the kitchen over to open floor plans, and then terrazzo as well, very customizable and relatively low maintenance after the fact. So, we've talked about some materials, we've talked about some options, we've talked about trends. Now we'll focus on some different tips that we can talk through on some of these installations. One of the biggest things is membrane termination points. A lot of cases there is a minimum height requirement that you have to waterproof within a given shower. We like to say you should waterproof as much as you can. There's nothing like peace of mind. There's nothing like security. If you have the material, go as high as you can. Right? It is determined by it's going to be determined by the buildup of the method you select and outlined by the architect. But a lot of times, go as high as you physically can. And on the floor, it doesn't hurt to do the whole bathroom. With regard to barrier-free, there's a number of different ways to skin the cat, right? There is pre-pitched products that you can start at the wall and work backwards that don't allow you or don't require the need to sink a subfloor. If you want to put the drain at the back wall, there are ways to increase the height of the subfloor without necessarily having to sink or sister any joists, based on adding some additional plywood or some additional membrane to get the height needed. And then there's also kits available There's a few different specific manufacturers that make kits that simplify the sinking of the subfloor process, allowing you to expand upon the different ways you can attack one of these installations, really focusing around ease of use and simplification of the process. When doing a barrier-free shower or an open shower, it's great to have or plan for a secondary drain. Make sure that said drain and the extra drain can catch all of the water, depending on where the termination point of the shower or the partition walls are. And then consider flow rate for multiple heads and jets for the plumbing. Installation, know all of the options that you have, right? That's really what this was designed to do. Letting you guys know all of the different options at your disposal and all of the different ways that they can either be customized before the purchase or modified after the purchase. For labor and training, always use certified labor. There's joint industry efforts throughout NTCNA, TCAA, and CTFE, and a number of other industry partners to kind of maintain the available certifications for these type of installations, and then growth and expansion on e-learning due to COVID-19. Right, it's really helped us blow up what our reach could be out to you guys. Right, I can only be on so many job sites, or my colleagues, or others within the industry can only get to so many job sites in a day. We can really get a lot of ears and eyes through online learning and portals such as this that TCNA allows for, or NTCNA allows for. So we're really excited about the continuing partnership we have with them for an outreach to get to you guys. So in summary, and again, thank you for your time. Continue to stay in the know regarding the applicable industry standards. They're always going to come out to the job site and going to kind of guide what you guys are doing. Familiarize yourself with all the available options that you have at your disposal. And there are things out there that are going to help you be more productive and take less of the wear and tear on your body. And as anything else, we're professionals within the industry. Let's stay up on the trends as they evolve so you can continue to grow and, modify and round out your skill set to be the best possible installer, distributor, salesperson, product manager, right, that you can possibly be. So again, thank you guys for your time. If you have any questions, I have my contact information directly on the screen, as well as my phone number. My computer's always on, my phone's always open. Don't hesitate to reach out. I look forward to hearing from you guys on a consistent basis. For those that I know, and those of you that I don't know, I look forward to meeting with you at some point in the near future. So thank you.
Dustin, great job. Really do appreciate the idea about productivity and making money. Really important, and training and the new ways we are training, which webinars are one of them and one way of doing it. So appreciate it. We do have some questions here I want to run through, Dustin, and everybody, please jot down Dustin's email address if we don't get through all the questions, or if some of them are not answered. Please email Dustin. You can email me also, or call Dustin, and he'll definitely give you some assistance and answer your questions at another time. So our first question is, one other con on preform pans is the compression issue of most EPS foam pans. Small format tiles should not be installed over them. So more of a comment.
Yeah, we do have standards around that. Like I said, check data sheets. Us specifically, you can install some of the smaller ones. We do recommend a specific type of epoxy grout to be used with it. So there are nuances when applying some of those smaller ones. That's a great point brought out by whoever made the comment. It definitely is something to bear note of, and check those manufacturers' data sheets and installation instructions before installing any tiles that are smaller than the traditional ones.
And then there is a comment about that there is a test standard for sheet membranes, ANSI A118.12 for crack isolation, just so everybody knows.
It's the definition around it that they're looking to cement a little bit, Jim. That there is crack isolation is 1812, yes.
What are your recommendations on installation methods using Hydroban?
I think I would need more specificity to the question. There's a lot of different variables that come into play. I would need
So,
more
go ahead.
I would need more specificity on the question to give it probably the direct answer it deserves.
Michael, can you either call Dustin or email Dustin, and he'll be able to give you more information on a more specific question. Thank you. All right. So you did a great job, Dustin. And oh, we got more questions coming in. Here we go.
Here we go.
I love it. How do you personally help customers get through the mental hurdle of switching from mud beds to waterproof, pre-waterproof pans?
All right, there's a number of different ways we can do it. I can't speak for every manufacturer, but I know every manufacturer has the customer's best interest and the installer's best interest in mind. I'll answer that based on the knowledge that I have within the four walls that I'm in on a daily basis. We do have, our reps are phenomenal, as are other industry reps. I'm sure that they can come out and give a basic tutorial, a basic understanding. We do have a plethora of installation videos where we outline the installation process at our disposal, as do other manufacturers through both YouTube or their actual websites. We do provide seminar-based learnings within our company's headquarters, as well as some of our satellite offices, and I know others do as well. So I would say there's a number of different ways that we can attack that. I think the best way that I would recommend somebody looking to get more information would be to reach out to your local rep and see what is offered by the manufacturer of choice that you're inquiring about, and they'll probably be able to guide you in the right direction.
Okay, great answer. Here's another one. What is your recommendation? Waterproofing under a mortar bed or on top of the mortar bed?
On top. If it's liquid applied, it's on top. If it's sheet membrane, it's on top.
Underneath. All right.
That would be if you were using like the old bladder membrane method.
Okay, all right. Is it a good fit using the foam pans over the top of hydronic heat tube systems?
It can be, and I would refer back to the manufacturer of the heat and the pan to make sure that it's rated to take that level of temperature change.
So that's a great answer. And here's the thing, everybody. What Dustin just said relates to all products. Manufacturers' recommendations supersede any ANSI or TCNA method or standard, all right? It's very important. They're the ones warranting and backing their product, so make sure you ask them the questions. Call their technical hotline. Talk to your distributor and get the salesperson's number, but definitely the manufacturer's recommendations are number one, and you should always check with them.
Now, we typically, we don't offer a hydronic system. We offer electric gradient. We would do it over the pan, at least for electric gradient. And I know there's a couple other manufacturers out there that have the same recommendations.
All right. Well, I want to thank you, Dustin. I want to thank everyone for attending. I hope you all have a great 4th of July holiday weekend. Our next webinar will be July 18th, and in about 2 weeks, you'll get an invite for those, and we look forward to you attending. So thanks, everyone. Thank you, Dustin. Enjoy, and we will all talk soon. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good holiday weekend. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.
Thank you.